Well, everyone, here I am outside of the Grover Beach train and Greyhound station, waiting for a Greyhound to Santa Barbara. Of course, a lot has happened since you last saw me yesterday morning, a beautiful Thanksgiving morning in San Luis Obispo Bay. I didn't get far, about an hour and a half across the bay, and the helm started acting sluggish, and then the engine overheat warning came on. And when I opened the cabin doors to look below, I found that it was already knee-deep in water, which meant my battery bank was already in the water, and so radio was not an option. Not that I was thinking about that at the time. I was more concerned with wading through the cabin to gather all of my belongings and get everything important onto the life raft, which I did. After which I proceeded to sit in the life raft and cling to the deck rail while Shaman filled up with water until I realized that I was drifting further and further offshore. And since it was Thanksgiving Day and the nearest Coast Guard station was all the way back in Morro Bay, and my emergency beacon only went 35 miles, which was probably not going to reach them, that I was going to need to paddle myself back to shore, about 10 miles. So I let her go, and about a mile later, I watched her sink while I paddled in. And about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of paddling later, a lot of blisters and a raw butt from the friction of the seat pad, I did reach shore. Thankfully, shore was a beach. I couldn't tell for a long ways if it was a beach or if it was rocks, so I'm glad it wasn't cliff, it was beach. I got there maybe 20 minutes after sunset. Unfortunately, a big wave came and wiped me out. And all of the things that I'd gathered on the dinghy went into the water, and so did I. So the videos I took of the experience that were all very tearful and cursive and heart-wrenching were lost with my phones that were both soaked in my pockets. I also lost my passport in its little booklet with several credit cards into the water. So I waded through, swam through the waves to get in, and then waded through collecting all my bits of stuff. And one of the beachgoers that saw it, who was watching the sunset previous, assumed there, he called the police, who came very quickly 5 minutes later, and they helped me gather all my things and got me a warm blanket and out of my wet clothes. A beachgoer did find my passport booklet and all those things inside. Also had my temporary residency in Mexico card, so all very much a mid-size miracle that my passport and all those things came back to me. That was amazing. The police were very, very gracious. Turns out I'd washed up in Grover Beach, just outside of Pismo Beach. And they got me to the station where they recorded all of my washed up possessions and got me a hotel room, a dry pair of sweats and a t-shirt. And they drove me to the hotel where I got all my clothes washed and dried, and set out everything I had in the hotel room bit by bit, all the paperwork and everything in my wallet, everything in all my pockets, with an 80-degree hotel room to try and dry everything out. I didn't sleep much. I guess I had some trauma to process. And of course I spent today sorting out my electronic wits, getting another phone, finding out that thankfully my SIM card did survive the process, at least my SIM card for my United States phone. I'll find out about my Mexican phone when I get back to Mexico, and I can put it in a Mexican phone to find out about that. So now I'm here, waiting for the Greyhound to get me to Santa Barbara so I can catch an early morning flight back to Vallarta. Of course, I started this whole adventure fresh from my 26-year separation to an amazingly intelligent, mature wife who, allowed me in some ways to remain a man-child for the last 26 years. And so I set out on this intensive quest of self-rediscovery to find myself and to mature, because I knew I needed to do that. And so I'm really sorry to lose my boat. I'm thankful for the experience. And I understand that it did serve its purpose. I do know myself a lot better now. And although I'm taking this as a very clear and definitive sign from my universe that I was not meant to live a sailor's life at sea, I may one day own another boat for recreational boating purposes, because I do love boating and the sea. And I'm ready to get home and to find out whatever is meant to be the next chapter in my life. Thank you all for joining me and for all your support. Everybody, especially Tony Allen. It's priceless for everything. Cole Martinson, refrigeration donation. Michael Sprague, everybody else who's been so emotionally supportive, my brother, my sister, George Logan. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being along on the ride for me. It's been great to have the support and all the prayers. Thank you.